During the tense years of the Cold War, the skies above Britain were always watched carefully. Radar stations scanned the North Sea every second of the day. One quiet moment could turn into danger in an instant. When an unknown aircraft suddenly appeared on the radar, moving fast and flying high, alarms echoed across Royal Air Force bases. Pilots ran toward their jets because every second mattered. On one small airfield, a jet that many people had mocked for years rolled forward toward the runway. It looked unusual with its slim body, small wings, and tiny fuel tanks. Critics had always said the same thing about it. That jet cannot fly far. It has no range. It is useless. But the pilots who flew it knew the truth. They did not need long range. They needed speed. They needed climb. They needed seconds, not miles. And in that moment, the English Electric Lightning showed the world exactly what it had been built for. With engines screaming louder than anything else on the airfield, the Lightning shot forward and blasted into the sky. It did not climb gently like other fighters. Instead, it pointed almost straight upward, climbing faster than anything anyone had flown before. American observers who had come to watch NATO exercises stared in disbelief. Some even whispered to each other, wondering if the jet had climbed into space. The question quickly spread. How did a British jet that everyone criticized become the fastest interceptor on Earth? From the beginning, the Lightning had a reputation problem. Not because it looked weak, but because it had a different design philosophy. Most fighter aircraft in that era were built to do many jobs at once. They needed long range, large fuel tanks, and the ability to perform several missions. But the Lightning had only one purpose. It was built to intercept incoming bombers. Nothing more. Its job was simple. Take off immediately, climb straight toward the threat, reach it before it reached British cities, and stop it. That was all. But many people could not understand this design. They saw the small wings and tiny internal fuel load and joked that the jet could barely fly across the country. Journalists wrote articles mocking it. Foreign analysts dismissed it as a toy that was good only for short flights. Even some people inside NATO wondered what value a jet had if it could not patrol the sky for long periods of time. The word range became a shadow that followed the Lightning everywhere. On paper, the criticism seemed fair, but military planning is not done on paper alone. Britain did not need a jet to wander around the sky for hours. It needed a jet that could reach a bomber in the shortest possible time. During the Cold War, the fear was simple. If Soviet bombers crossed into British airspace, the Royal Air Force would only have minutes to respond. Not hours. Minutes. In that situation, long range would not save anyone. What mattered most was climb speed and reaction time. The Lightning was designed to take off, climb almost instantly, and reach a threat long before any other aircraft could. To achieve this, engineers made bold choices. They stacked the engines vertically inside the fuselage, which gave the aircraft huge power in a very small body. They gave it narrow wings to reduce drag. They shaped the jet so it could punch through the air and slice upward with minimal resistance. Every design decision served one purpose: get the jet to altitude faster than anything else in the sky. Pilots who trained with the Lightning immediately felt the difference. When the jet took off, it did not feel like a normal aircraft. It felt like being launched from a giant slingshot or a railgun. Within seconds, it was climbing to the same altitudes that other jets reached only after several minutes. But none of this seemed to matter in public debates. People kept calling it the jet with no range and dismissed it before it was ever tested in real emergencies. All of that changed when the scramble alarms began sounding for real during Cold War alert drills. Suddenly, the Lightning was not being judged by critics or newspapers. It was being judged by the only thing that mattered: the sky. When pilots raced across the airfield and leapt into the cockpit, they knew the aircraft was ready. The Lightning did not wait politely at the end of the runway. The moment the pilot pushed the throttle forward, the jet lunged forward with incredible force. It barely spent any time on the ground before lifting off. Instead of leveling out and slowly climbing, it pointed upward like a rocket. The engines roared together, sending a column of power through the air. To people watching from the ground, it looked unreal. The small silver aircraft became a vertical streak, disappearing into clouds far above. Within a minute, it was already at combat altitude. Other jets needed 5 or even 10 minutes to reach the same height. The Lightning did it almost instantly. Pilots described a strange feeling as the earth fell away beneath them faster than their own instruments could update. The climb seemed to break the rules of flight. Soon pilots from NATO nations began hearing stories about the Lightning. Many did not believe them until they saw the aircraft for themselves. American pilots stood along runways watching Lightning takeoffs. At first they shrugged, thinking they were seeing a normal launch. But then the jet pulled itself upward sharply and kept climbing at an angle no other fighter could match. Some American pilots whispered that the jet was not climbing but launching. They were not far from the truth. During larger NATO exercises, the Lightning finally went head-to-head with some of the strongest interceptors in service. When an unknown target appeared on radar, multiple jets from different countries were launched at the same time. American fighters, heavy and powerful, roared into the sky. On paper, they seemed superior because they carried more fuel and had advanced equipment. But once the scramble order was given, none of that mattered. The only thing that mattered was time to altitude. Radar controllers watched the tracking screens as symbols moved upward toward the intercept point. The Lightning symbols reached the required altitude first almost every time. Other jets were still climbing when Lightning pilots calmly radioed that they had reached the target area. One American pilot later said that they had thought they were racing the British jets, but instead they realized they were chasing from far behind. This changed the way military planners across NATO thought about air defense. Until then, most people believed that the best interceptors were jets that could fly far and stay in the sky for long periods. But the Lightning proved that reaction speed could be even more important. It showed that a fighter did not need to wait in the air if it could reach the air faster than the threat could arrive. Some American analysts who once mocked the Lightning now saw it differently. They began referring to it as a reaction bullet, a jet designed not to patrol, but to launch immediately when danger appeared. Although the United States did not adopt the Lightning, it did learn from it. New American interceptor designs began placing more importance on fast climb rates and quick reaction times. They were not copying the Lightning, but adapting to the lessons it proved in real exercises. The Lightning never became a global export success, and it did not serve in dozens of countries. But that was never its purpose. Its purpose was to protect the skies above Britain during the most dangerous years of the Cold War. And in that mission, it succeeded completely. Pilots who flew it remembered it with great respect. They said it rewarded skill and punished hesitation. It was not made for long battles or for flying far across oceans. It was made for the first moment of danger, the moment when unknown aircraft approached the border, and defenders had only seconds to respond. Although the Lightning never fought a real war, it won every practice battle that mattered. It set new standards for how quickly a jet could climb and how fast it could react. When the Cold War eventually cooled and newer jets replaced it, the Lightning retired with honor. People who saw it at air shows were amazed by how small it looked and how hard it was to believe that this little fighter once climbed faster than any jet in the world. Museums still display the Lightning with its nose pointed high, as if it is still reaching for the sky. Visitors always ask the same question. Was it truly that fast? And veterans always answer with a smile. Faster than you can imagine. For a brief but unforgettable period in aviation history, the Lightning proved that speed and time could matter far more than distance. Critics mocked it for what it lacked, but history remembered it for what it achieved. When the sky needed an answer in seconds, the Lightning delivered. It did not win by flying farther. It won by getting to the fight first. And in the end, history often remembers not the aircraft that fly the longest journeys, but the ones that climb the fastest and arrive when they are needed most.